You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salam Radio. Salam Radio.
Welcome to
106.2 FM.
Peterborough Weekly, and it's a special episode today as I'm joined by, obviously, co-host Waleed, and our special guest today is Ash. Ash, who's completed the London Marathon at the tender age of 50.
50.
Go on,
50.
53.
53, mashallah.
Yeah.
So, that was, what, two weeks ago?
2 weeks ago today, yeah.
Nice. So, obviously, we'll touch on that, about your journey, about the experience, kind of what motivated you in the show. And then we'll touch on some FC Peterborough kind of related things as well, because we had the award ceremony on Friday night. So Waleed can run through the winners for the various teams. But yeah, let's get into it, as Jamal would say. Don't know where Jamal is, or Zani or Arkham. I mean, if you guys are, or if anyone knows where they are, do let us know. But yeah, Ash, so the marathon.
Yeah.
What inspired you to do it?
To be honest with you, it was a pretty random thing. One day we were just sitting in the office, a couple of colleagues, and we were talking about the lack of fitness we had at the moment. And we thought it was one of those crazy ideas, let's enter for the London Marathon and get fit for it. And that's how it all started. And we just basically on the same day we made our applications. I think one of my colleagues had seen an advert for it, for the applications. And, and she'd obviously said, oh, look, London Marathon applications are open. Why don't we apply for that? All three of us applied for it. And I got it. They didn't.
Yeah, so I think with the applications and so on, it's... I think when you're not really kind of sure how they work and so on, it's very easy to think, you're just going to make a decision and you're going to run it. But with the London Marathon, there's actually...
That's right, yeah. So obviously I didn't know this at the time when I made my application.
Yeah.
But since then I've learned that they have 60,000 entrants that they accept. And 40,000 of those places go to charities.
Yeah.
And then they have another 20,000 which end up in a ballot where they're picked out randomly. So last year I found out that there were 750,000 applicants.
Wow.
So only 20,000 people get picked out of that. And I was one of those lucky ones. And I didn't know that at the time.
Nice. And so you mentioned obviously that you made a decision to kind of, increase kind of the fitness and so on. But I feel like a marathon's a very extreme step. Have you got any kind of experience of running any like half marathons previously?
No, never. In fact, my first ever park run was 1 week before the marathon.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd never even done a park run before that.
Sure. So I think your training schedule must have been very kind of extensive and very thorough. Can you...
Well, obviously I made the application last April.
Okay.
And when I found out that I'd been accepted, I'd found some training plans online.
Yeah.
And I started one of them, I think it was last May or June time.
Sure.
Once I'd gone into about a week or two into that plan, I'd got injured.
Okay.
So then I had to take a break, and then a few months down the line, I think it may have been August, September, I tried restarting my training again. And a similar thing happened again, not the same injury, but a different injury. And I came to the conclusion that maybe, it's not for me. Maybe I'm too old. My body can't handle this, because the intensive training was quite, my body wasn't used to it.
Yeah. So
I gave up at that point. And it wasn't until about Christmas time I was sat in a family gathering with one of you guys, Imtiaz.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, again, there was a conversation about fitness and things like that. And he said that he was planning to do a marathon by the end of the year. So I told him, I had an entry into this year's London Marathon, but I tried training a couple of times, but kept getting injured, so I've given up. So he was shocked that I'd given up. And he said, no, you can't give up. You know, you don't know how lucky you are to get this opportunity.
Yeah.
And you've got to give it a go. And I think at that time there was about 16 weeks left to the marathon. He said, look, I don't know what you've been doing, but let me give you a training plan, because I've done a few marathons myself. And I couldn't say no. I said, all right, go on, give me a training plan and I'll give it a go. And so my training for the marathon actually started in January.
Wow.
And in January, it was too cold to run on the roads for me.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't used to it. So January and February, I was just running on a treadmill in the gym.
Yeah.
And then obviously Ramadan started in March. And in March is when I first started to go out on the road. It used to be after Tarawih prayers.
Just on the running on treadmill, I know we've obviously kind of spoken this offline, but what was the maximum? Well, what was the most distance you done on a treadmill?
27 kilometers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I think the conversation we were having, I was shocked that you had done 27 on a treadmill, because running on a treadmill
and on the road
is obviously different. You know, treadmill is just, I feel like it's so much more of a challenge mentally, because you're just kind of in the same place, and like I think people struggle to do like a 5K on a treadmill.
That took me about 3.5 hours that day.
Yeah,
I remember that. But yeah, I was quite determined to just keep going. I didn't have I think, you know what, I felt more lonely on the roads than I did in the gym. Because obviously in the gym you've got there's other people running next to you.
Yeah.
So, you know, in terms of running on the treadmill, I found it a little bit easier. Well, not just because it's actually easier physically, but also that there was people around there. Whereas when you're running out on the roads by yourself, you are on your own.
Yeah.
So that's far more lonely.
Did you have any kind of music or podcast to kind of pull you through?
Nothing. I had an app. On the roads, I had an app that was obviously telling me how far I'd run, my pace. Yeah. Because I needed to keep an eye on that. Yeah. So that's the only thing I was using throughout. On the treadmill, obviously, the figures were in front of me. But when I went on the road, I didn't know how far I'd run, you know, what pace I was running at. Yeah. So I used an app that was telling me all that in my headphones.
That's crazy. Waleed, could you
I want to go more. I wanted to go more, probably more when you were running. So you know how you said you did 27. So I'm assuming when you, obviously, let's go to a marathon day. Did you ever had that mental block? Like, you're like, why have I done this? Like, while you're running, is that something like there was self-doubt, like we talk about mental toughness quite a bit. Was there a stage when you were running where you were like, you know what, I can't do it?
Yeah, definitely there was. So once I started running out on the road, there was only, I think, 2 long runs left, because it was the month of April. Because ideally 3 weeks before the marathon, you're supposed to start tapering, where you don't do the long runs anymore. So I had to get my long runs in. So I only had like 2 weeks. 2 weeks apart. They got to be the 2 long runs. So when I did the first one after Ramadan, which actually on Eid day, I was running for about 4 or 5 hours. Wow. So, because you know, I think Eid was on Sunday, and on a Monday I had to run, because the way the plan worked, you had to run on a Tuesday and a Thursday and a Sunday. But I couldn't run on the Sunday because I was still fasting, I think. Yeah. And on the Monday when I went for a run, the planned run for that day was 28 kilometers. Yeah. But when I went on the road, after 21, 22 kilometers, the legs didn't want to move. They felt like they were made out of lead. Wow. So when it happened first time, I thought maybe, you know, I've just come out of Ramadan. Maybe I'm weak. Yeah, give it another go in another 2 weeks' time. And kind of similar thing happened second time around. Once I got past 22 kilometers, you know, again, the legs went really heavy. But I said, look, today I'm going to try and push that time I had to do 32 kilometers.
Yeah.
So I pushed myself to about 29. But by that time, my knees were hurting. So I thought if I push myself too much, I might get injured and the marathon will be out of the question. So, yeah, there were when you say, were there any doubts, I didn't. So you know, in the month of April, I ended up getting 2 bouts of virus as well.
Yeah.
So for 2 of the 4 weeks, I wasn't even feeling well, right? So it was a constant doubt.
Yeah.
I didn't book my hotel for the marathon until the Friday before the Sunday.
That's when
2 days before.
Yeah, you knew you were doing it.
And because I felt good, I've said, I feel fine now. I'm gonna give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was constant doubts. There was, it wasn't a matter of I can do this.
Yeah.
It was a matter of I have to do this and I have to push myself through this. But I didn't really believe I could do it until marathon day, to be honest with you. Because when I started running and I'd got to the halfway mark and I was still fine. So at that point I knew I was going to, that was the first time I believed I was going to do it. Up until that time, there was a constant doubt.
Yeah. I had a conversation with a couple of those doing the parkrun yesterday, and I was talking about, you know, when I was doing the parkrun, I have no motivation. Essentially, I'm just doing it. Whereas when I'm doing the half marathon, because I was like, the adrenaline is there, it's a moment, that just pushes you through it. So you know how you said the most you did was like 27 kilometers, and also on marathon day, you hit 27 kilometers. Did you feel anything in your legs where, like you said, it felt like lead before, felt like jelly? Anything at that moment hit it? Because obviously I'm sure you know what how many miles you've ran, how many kilometers you ran, and how did you get past that stage on that day?
So, you know what happened about a week before that, I had a moment of realization. I learned something which I applied on the day. Which was I wasn't going to do any maths in my head as to how far I've got to go.
Okay.
Because that drains you.
Yeah.
Definitely. Sorry to interrupt, but I think, so one of the things you mentioned is when you went on the outdoor runs, you weren't listening to anything.
Yeah.
But you just had the
I was
pace.
doing the calculations in my head. Yeah.
But you know, that kind of, when you got such a long distance through, that kind of
that's
hurts
exactly
you.
Yeah. So I had this moment of realization where I realized that's quite draining when you're thinking, you know, your legs are hurting and you've still got another 10K to do, and you're also thinking about the marathon where you've got to do another 20 above that, right? And that was so what I decided to do was, on the day my technique was simple. I'd ask myself, can I take the next step?
Yeah.
And if the answer was yes, I'm just going to take the next step. I'm not going to worry about the 10 steps ahead of that. I'm only going to worry about the step that's in front of me. So I never thought about where I was in the marathon or how far I had to go.
Yeah.
All I focused on was
The next step.
the next step.
Yeah.
Is the next step possible?
I like that.
Sure. Just before we obviously go into the actual race day, I want to just touch on like nutrition, and like your diet. Did you have to make any changes to your diet while you were training?
To be honest with you, I didn't make any massive changes. Obviously, on the run days, I had to watch a bit more as to what I took in.
Yeah.
So, for example, you know, I'd have a double portion of porridge in the mornings if I was going to do a big long run for 3-4 hours. But the biggest change I think to my diet was the intake of water.
Okay.
I realized that I hardly ever drank any water before this.
Yeah.
But for the marathon training and obviously for the marathon as well, I had to get used to drinking a lot of water. So I was drinking 2-3 liters of water a day.
Yeah.
Pretty much, that was the big change.
My other thing, I want to take you back again to that December time. So you know, you say you told Imtiaz the first time, obviously the group of friends around. Was that the first time you told them you got into the London Marathon?
Yeah.
First time. Why was that? Why do you think that was? Or it never came into a conversation before?
I don't think we sat down before that.
Yeah.
Where we had that, you know, conversation where I could have mentioned it or anything, you know. Yeah.
Because I was thinking, like, in the sense of, was it something, you know what, on the day it's going to happen, then everyone realizes, because obviously you had
one of the reasons I kept it quiet was because I was never sure I was going to do it.
Okay, was that?
Yeah, that was the main reason.
One,
yeah. Hence why I never told too many people, because last thing you want to do is tell everybody I'm going to do a marathon and then not be able to do it. Yeah, so I try to keep it as quiet as possible. But I had friends, who wanted everybody to know I was doing the marathon.
So we've got a couple of comments on Facebook. So you've got Ibrahim saying, what an achievement. And also Jamsi saying, mashallah, smash it, bro. So if you guys are listening in, feel free to drop some comments or some questions for Ash, and we will make sure we get those asked. So yeah, race day. Tell us about it. How did you get to London? Did you go the night before? What was your preparation? What did you have for breakfast?
I went the night before. I had some friends who decided to come along. So we all went together. We stayed in a hotel in the evening. Obviously, I went out for a meal. I had to have a pasta, but they obviously needed to eat other stuff. So we split into two groups. So they didn't want to come and eat pasta with me. Yeah, and I had to go to bed early as well, and they didn't. Because I needed to wake up some like 7 o'clock in the morning, catch a train at about 8:15 from where I was staying.
Yeah. How far was the hotel? And
I don't know about the distance, but the train took, I think, approximately half an hour to 40 minutes from where I was. Yeah. So I don't know how far. It wasn't that far, but the train took quite a while to get there. And then once I got to the train station, I think it was a good 20-minute walk from there as well.
Wow.
So I think I walked about 5 kilometers before the start line.
Wow.
Yeah.
And while you were making that journey, there must have been other kind of marathon runners making the same.
Yeah. The train was absolutely jam-packed of runners.
Yeah. So was there like a good buzz at that point, and were you feeling
quite
excited?
No, I was nervous.
Really?
I was very, very nervous, tense. I think a lot of people were. I wasn't the only one. It wasn't like there wasn't a party mood on the train.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I think most people were quite nervous about it. So when I got to the park where the start line is, it was huge. You can imagine there's like 60,000 people in this park, so it has to be huge. Just the line of toilets was probably like half a mile long, and there was a queue in front of all of them of about 10-20 people. Yeah, so it was a massive place.
Sure. And were there any did you have any race day kind of rituals or superstitions or anything like that?
No, nothing. I had a bit of an incident in the morning where I was trying to prepare my porridge and the cooker wouldn't work, and there was no microwave there either. So it was quite fortunate that my friends were staying in the same hotel.
Yeah.
So I went into their room and managed to make the porridge in their room.
So is that what you had for breakfast? Just porridge?
Yeah, just loads of porridge.
Plain porridge?
No, I like to put a bit of honey on it.
Oh, okay.
Had a lot of water intake.
Oh yeah, the water is constant. I think I probably drank more than a litre before I started.
And did you take any kind of snacks with you or energy gels or?
Yeah. So for the longer runs, I was using energy gels. I think they recommend that you take one every 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But I was taking them about every hour.
Okay.
So every 5 minutes just take.
For the marathon then, so how many kind of energy gels did you have?
I took about 8, but I didn't use all of them because I tried some of theirs. They gave me these Lucozade ones.
Okay.
So, and also they were giving out Lucozade drink in some of the places. So I drank that as well. So I didn't take that many gels. I was using the electrolytes in my water.
Yeah.
So I had the electrolyte tablets in my bag. So when they were giving the water out, I'd put a tablet in the water and drink that.
Sure. So the marathon in itself, while you were kind of running, did everything go as smoothly as you may, or did everything go kind of smoothly, or were there points where you're like, yeah, you know what, I've had enough?
No. Like I said, once I started running, I just kept running, and I didn't think about how far I had to run. I had, so when you say it didn't run smoothly, so I had a plan in my head as to how I was going to run. I wasn't going to run 100%. So like the first 7K, I was going to run a 7K, 100%. Then the next 14, my plan was to run 90%. And then the next 7, I thought I'd run about 80%.
Yeah.
So I had a plan like that in my head. But what I realized was as soon as I started doing the run and walks, some of my walks were downhill and the runs were uphill.
Okay.
And I thought I'm wasting a lot of energy here where I'm running uphill and then walking downhill. I should be doing it the other way around.
Yeah.
So I changed it. And then I think, I can't remember at what point because I wasn't processing those distances in my head. But at one point my knees started to hurt and I thought that was going to be it. But then it kind of occurred to me that I've always had a problem going downhill. My knees struggle downhill. And then I realized that I've done a lot of downhill running and maybe that's what's causing it. So I stopped it from that point.
Okay.
So I would stop running downhill. Every time I'd get to a downhill, I'd start walking. And and then after that, didn't have any issues with my knees.
Sure. So, everyone talks about the wall, during a marathon or a half marathon. Did you kind of hit the wall, and at what point was that?
I think it was during training mainly. I think on marathon day I didn't have any issue.
Yeah.
I was even able to run over the finish line. Most of the people after 7 hours, they were struggling to run.
Sure.
But I still had energy to run, and the legs were still going. So on the day I didn't have any issue, but during training, like I said to you, that 22 kilometers, every time I used to get past that, I used to struggle.
What was the kind of atmosphere like?
Oh, the atmosphere was amazing. It was like a carnival, 26-mile long carnival.
Oh.
Yeah. Again, because I'd never even been to a marathon or anything, I didn't anticipate that.
Yeah.
But it was amazing, It was a fantastic, and the weather was good on the day as well, as you know. It's definitely good for the spectators, not maybe so.
You make it sound like it's really fun.
Really
so we got a comment from Jamzi again asking you, when is the next one?
The next one, I think we're planning they do a marathon in Rome. It's like a relay marathon.
Okay.
Where they take 4 entries, like it's a team of 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jamzi is one of them.
Yeah.
All right. And I've got a couple of other friends. So 4 of us, we're planning to do that. It won't be next year because next year it falls in Ramadan. But inshallah, the year after.
I think my question was going to be, what effect has doing this London Marathon from now has done in your life? In the sense of, obviously I see you've been doing parkruns now. Started since then. What effects is it having on you, and what do you want to do?
I think the biggest thing I'm going to take away from this is this habit of running, because which I think it's far more convenient than going to the gym, for example, because this you can do wherever you are in the world.
Yeah.
You can do it almost any time of the day or night. And you can do it by yourself. You don't need any equipment or anything. And hopefully I intend to keep this going forever, for as long as I can.
Because my thing is, we spoke about quite a lot with that, especially said our own people when it comes to South Asians, and they have a lot of, we always have that long illnesses, and that comes to not being physically active. You also said about work and how a couple of your colleagues also applied for it, they never got it. Is this something now you're doing as a work thing, where potentially it's like who's doing the most miles or most runs in a week, or any not competitions but anything in place?
To be honest with you, I think we're a bit old to be competing with my friends at this age, and also there's no competition where everybody's running, and we all have our own goals within running. So I'm just looking at Cami's comment. Is Jamzi one of them? Yeah.
I think
Jamzi is one of them. I can confirm this here.
You've also got another couple of comments. So you got Sahel saying it's amazing achievement, mashallah, and inspirational. And Cami has just said, finally, you're better at sport than your good friend Arif.
Yeah, it took me a long time, 53 years, but yeah.
So,
I suppose if you keep going, there's always a chance, isn't there?
So just a couple of quick fire questions. We haven't got long to the ad break. What's the marathon taught you about yourself?
What's it taught me about myself?
In a couple of words, please, if possible.
I think the biggest lesson that I've learned from this is to take the next step in most aspects of my life, rather than thinking about the 10 steps ahead. That's probably the biggest lesson I walked away with.
I think that's some sound advice for anyone who's willing to or interested in running a marathon or, whatever goal. But Ash, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure. And you're definitely a huge inspiration to all of us.
Thank you.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Mirage Wedding and Catering Services have everything to make your special day, party or celebration one to remember for all the right reasons. As well as quality catering, freshly made with seasonal produce, Mirage supply stages, lighting and house lights, decor and marquees, Chibari chairs and table hire, attentive staff, supercars and so much more. Call 07860 125 092 or visit MirageWeddingsUK.com. Also across all social media. Mirage, making every wedding better.
Award-winning ST Complete Care provide all kinds of regular and respite care for your loved ones. Rated good by the CQC and with outstanding reviews, ST Complete Care will tailor their services for children and adults, including helping with personal and home care, medication assistance, visits and appointments too. With bilingual carers, ST Complete Care are also experienced with disabilities, dementia, autism, Alzheimer's and more. To arrange your free assessment, call 01733 303300. Caring for you the way you want.
Whether you're eating in or ordering for collection or delivery, Big Mouth at 349 Lincoln Road in Peterborough is the place for all the family favourites you know and love. But now it's even better, as loaded fries, grilled and smashed burgers, peri-peri strips and wings have been added to Big Mouth's mouth-watering menu of pizzas, chicken and so much more. Call in today, order for delivery via Uber Eats or call 01733 201020. Big Mouth's open 11 till 2, 7 days a week.
Home or business, protect what matters most with a bespoke security system from H-Secure Tech. CCTV, intruder and fire alarms, and access control too. 5-star Google-rated H-Secure Tech install them all, with 24-hour and mobile app monitoring, keeping your business safe and your loved ones protected. To discuss your specific requirements, call 01733 590 201. or visit hsecuretech.com.
There's simply a variety of choice at Chicken Valley, 318 Lincoln Road, and we don't just mean whether you dine in or order for takeaway or delivery. With halal dishes including peri-peri chicken, wings, strips and wraps, Korean burgers, sides, milkshakes and so much more. You'll have to experience Chicken Valley again and again and again. Open 11 a.m. until late, every day of the week. Order delivery via Just Eat, Uber or Food Hub, or for collection call Chicken Valley on 01733 564 053.
कश्मीर ऑर्फन्स रिलीफ ट्रस्ट कोड आप ही के अतियात से हजारों यतीम बच्चों की जिंदगियां बदल रहा है। इस रमजान मुबारक में अपनी ज़कात, सदकात, फितराना और अतियात कोर्ट को दें। नेकी और खैर के इस अमल में आपका हिस्सा अल्लाह पाक कबूल फरमाए, आमीन।
कोड एजुकेशनल कॉम्प्लेक्स, जाटला रोड, अख्तराबाद, मीरपुर, आजाद कश्मीर, UK ऑफिस 0300 123 774, court.org.uk।
listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salam Radio. Salam Radio. 106.2 FM.
Who had completed the London Marathon, and hopefully everyone enjoyed the conversation. We've had a lot of comments on Facebook, mostly from his mates. Let's just go through them. So Ash mentioned that Jamsi was going to be one of the guys running the Rome
marathon?
Relay
Marathon, yeah. That's interesting, man.
Apparently, though, Jamsi can't run 10 meters.
Who says that? Do you want to expose who said that comment?
That comment's come from the chairman.
I hope the chairman's part of this relay marathon, by the way. I heard he's done his first park run. Well, I say first. I don't know if it was his first, but he did do a park run last week.
How did that go? Because I think the chairman's a bit more of a sprinter.
Explosive. I heard, apparently, this is a week, obviously, after Ash's return. I wasn't there, but we're hearing from good sources there. It looked like it was a stroll for Ash, but Arif was panting and
panting.
Getting his airbag breath in for once he finished doing his 5K, from what I've heard.
Yeah. So it looks like Jamsi's throwing down a challenge to the chairman about running a 10K.
Ooh.
And then Kami Khan has responded saying Jamsi couldn't run a bath.
I've been inspiring talk. I like it, man.
But
we talk about competition. We asked Ash about competition. I think there must be some fiery competition between his friends.
Well, look, he's kind of completed it because
he's done it.
He's doing a marathon. So, until I think some of his friends do something on that scale.
Image has cleared marathons.
Yeah, so Image, obviously, Ash mentioned him being his...
giving him a plan, encouraging him.
Yeah, so I think Image's been a very kind of keen runner for a number of years. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's done about 3 marathons in his time.
Okay.
So I think he's done the London one.
He's done one out in the country. I heard it was about Safi was telling
Hawaii or
that's the
something
one.
like
yeah,
that.
Safi told me about that one, which is mental.
And he's done another, maybe the Paris one. Maybe, yeah.
But obviously, Image is a big advocate for the park runs.
Yeah.
So I've been added into the group chat with him, a few of the other coaches, and he set up his times, obviously, for just to keep it going. So obviously, we talk about how we look at Ash and how he's run his marathon, but it's a huge inspiration for us all. And considering the greater game, and we speak about quite a bit over the last few weeks, I think just us putting it out there is very inspiring for
So there's been talk about FCP Running Club, and I think the park runs is a very big part of that. I mean, I've seen a few pictures flying about, and I think, I'm not sure about yesterday, but I think the week before you had probably maybe close to 20 people from FC Peterborough at the park run. And that's across, a number of different age groups from the academy, and then also the men's
coaches.
Yeah.
The only one we missed out on yesterday, I think, might have been on Zami. So you had Waka, who joined in yesterday, Safi, myself,
so
Adi.
to be fair, Zami's been missing for a while, so
I was not kind of shocked that he missed it.
Yeah.
But so I think it was an increase on last week's, I want to say. So I think every week is going to be going on, and hopefully Zad. Last one you joined us was Christmas Day.
I think, yeah.
So Seth's after you. just say it.
Yeah. So he's a very good runner, to be honest.
Fantastic.
And do you think the runs kind of help football?
I think it's just helped for me, like I spoke about. It just helps in your daily life, essentially. Just getting your 5K out there in the morning. And then you have the rest of the day to look out for. But if you look at it football-wise, it's just another big advocate on staying fit. But then instead of just the runs, your diet has a part in it.
Yeah.
For me, I need to add more weight, but it's more on it's different elements and aspects.
More so from a player's perspective. Yeah. I think just for general fitness, 5K and so on is very good. But do you think a 5K is a good indication of a fitness level for like a football player?
Depending on the time to do. Like, obviously, we know if we talk about Liam Hatfield, and it's 18 minutes, 19 minutes, something crazy like that. And it shows how fit they are. But running a 5K and then playing football is a different type of intensity.
Yeah.
But it just shows how committed you are to the cause, and how conditioned you want to be throughout the footballing season.
Yeah. With the runs, the FCP Running Club and so on, how long till we see a run outside of the park run that's organised?
So, Inside, so a few of us have signed up for the Eastern run in October.
The Great
Eastern Run. Sorry, it's the Great Eastern Run in October. So coming from what I know, it's myself, Waka, Safi, who have signed up. I'm sure there'll be more. I've been in the ear of a few of them. And we just want to make it a big event, essentially represent FC Peterborough. And I think it'll just fit well also in the club aspect of it. And we talk about getting a lot of the youngsters involved. I think that would inspire them too, seeing the parents.
To be fair, I think, with Ash doing the marathon and so on, I think it has inspired a lot of people from the community to take a bit more of a
forward step,
yeah, definitely. And whether that be like a half marathon or, just get a bit more active with park runs and so on. I genuinely can see like a bit more of a difference within, the kind of people I speak to, whether it be like around FC Peterborough, people that know Ash. I feel like because he's done a marathon, it's kind of made people...
I heard you used to do a lot of half marathons and stuff like that. You done a Great Eastern Run, but it seems like you don't like being part of these events anymore. Is that?
So I've done two. I think one I done.
You done with Waka once,
2016 with Waka, and then also 2018 with Waka.
Yeah, apparently you guys had some really. It was a really good time. Your half marathon.
The times were okay. I think the first one I actually did. So that was October 2016. I actually done on a fractured ankle. Okay. So about like 2 weeks before, I kind of fractured my ankle playing football.
Yeah.
It was against Thorpewood at Footbridge Road.
He still remembers.
Still remember. We won the game like 3-1. And it was just like a tackle towards the end of the game that, one of their players made. And then I had to like kind of limp off. But it didn't really feel that kind of serious because, I limped off. Was in a lot of pain, it kind of started swelling up straight away. So then I just went through the process of having scans and whatnot. But then, there was a bit of a time delay to that. So I had the half marathon. That was 2 weeks before the half marathon. But literally for the next kind of 2 weeks.
Was that the Great Eastern Run?
Yeah. I wasn't able to train, wasn't able to run on it. And then I think the Friday before, I thought, you know what, I might just go for like a jog around the block, see how it is. And then, had the ankle strapped up and just kind of just done it and it felt okay. And then the half marathon, me and Waka, we've just kind of went and done it. And to be honest with you, I struggled a lot. We stuck together, which obviously definitely does help a lot. And I appreciate, him for that because that first one he could have done like way quicker. But he stuck with me. I think after like a certain period, like literally my ankle was kind of bad. It just felt very dull and so on. And just kind of carried on through it. I think that time we got was probably about 1 hour 56-ish.
That's a decent time. Obviously, it's not the best. Probably to yourself and for me, like I look at that time. I don't think obviously that I'm training up for it. I want to get under 2 hours and whatnot like that. But on my side, it's a really good time. Yeah. Obviously for yourself, being an athlete, I'm gonna use the term, being physically fit, considering your runs and stuff like that, and how well you've looked after yourself, considering the footballing side of field.
Yeah.
It's not a good run on your side, how you think. But you got to remember, you had a fractured ankle.
Yeah. So no, I didn't obviously know at the time. I probably damaged my or delayed the recovery of my injury by doing the half marathon. But it was only till like a month later where I actually had some kind of MRI scans that it turned out, I actually had a fractured ankle. But yeah, that was, the only reason why I'd done that one was pretty much down to Waka, to be honest. He kind of pushed me to do it. He was really interested in doing it, and I thought, we'll just go ahead. But yeah, I did find it challenging at the time. Our training and stuff weren't the best. I think the longest run we had done before the half marathon, or I had done, was a 10K.
Okay, that was like me with my half marathon.
I had like a little back injury or something, and then because I got injured after the football game, I wasn't able to do a longer run than that. Funnily enough, like I didn't really enjoy training with Waka.
Why's that?
Because
go on, give us some goss.
He just struggles to run in a straight line.
Waka, if you're listening,
you'll find this. You said obviously you, Safi, and Waka are planning on doing it. If you go any training runs, maybe he's changed now.
No, to be fair, he did his thing yesterday. He got 26 minutes, 28 minutes, whatever. He got a good time. He should be getting good time. We don't know why, but But I don't know. I didn't
just
hear
felt
anything
like,
about his running.
you're just running on these long runs and stuff, and
He's just going all over the place.
he's just like knocking into you constantly. And then on one hand, you're struggling with the run, and the next thing, this guy is just running into you.
Maybe he's preparing for football because shoulder barging.
Yeah,
you know
probably. You know, I just find it really frustrating at the time, and I always used to like, you know, slay him for that. But nah, so that was the 2016, and then 2018, we thought, you know, we'd just do it again. I think our training and stuff was a lot better.
Yeah.
And that time, I think we got like 1 hour 46. 1 hour 46, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was better than the 2016 one. At that time, though, funnily enough, the tables kind of turned because he had a bit of an injury. And, you know, I was there just kind of waiting and like kept on pushing him.
Did you stay with him? Did you leave him? No, go on, be honest, like, be honest.
I thought about it. I'm checking. No, I stayed with him. I thought obviously it'd be a bit harsh.
So let's get it running again. Be part of in October. I know we'll have a game on the Saturday.
Yeah, so that's the only
season.
thing. I think the only reason why I haven't really been able to do it since then is pretty much because of football.
Yeah. He's not Romeo done it. He had this away, and then the day after he's done a great Eastern run.
This is what I'm saying. Like, you know, you mentioned telling me those are like decent times, but like people like Romeo, they smash those times, and they do them like a day after football. And then training pretty much the next day as well.
Yeah, I think he probably had it off. I think I don't know if Shaz gave it off.
It's like it's very hard to kind of fit in the schedule, and then
maybe that was a recovery run for him after the game of football.
Maybe, but I think you know, you guys have signed up for it this year. Let's see if we can get any more people from.
It's an open invite. To be fair, the player, anyone who's listening. If you are down for it, happily we'd love to see as many of us obviously repping FC Peterborough, but also being an inspiration essentially for our younger players and showing them obviously the fitness size matters, because in the park run you have one of the players' dad who's part of the running.
Okay.
So that's another part of it. A parent is involved, and again his son is also too, which has a massive impact.
No, that's good. So I mean, the park run Saturday 9 o'clock, Ferry Meadows, open invite. You know, come along. You know, you'll get a group photo afterwards, and I think is the image that treats to the ice creams. And
we were there. Obviously, I had to run back to the under-7 game. A bit of a mission. So me, Arkham went there, and then obviously Waka ended up going with Fazan. Fazan was part of it too. So a few of us ended up going back to.
See, that's some commitment. 9 o'clock, 5K at Ferry Meadows. And then you rush off to the under-7s friendly game.
A player approached me. Let the fans know. We put in the group chat yesterday. I don't want to say the player's name, obviously. He come approach me before the game started. He said, I'm going to score 3 goals and you have to retire. I was like, that's a bit easy, innit? Make it 6. Yeah. Just a bit of a challenge. He scored 4. One scored 5. So I was close to
retiring
coaching.
Coaching?
Yeah, he said, to be fair, a couple of weeks ago, they come to watch the under-18s game, but they were on the pitch beforehand. I know that if you hit the crossbar, I'll give you 3 attempts, I'll retire. So I think they remember from that side of it. So I'm liking a bit of competition. You know what I mean? Intriguing them up.
Little do they know you're retiring anyway.
Cheers for that side, yeah. Thank you very much.
Never mind. Moving on swiftly. So, aside from the running, what else is going on?
We had an event Friday, big, obviously from the senior setup, the award ceremony.
Did we have an event if there's no pictures or videos?
Who are we not? Who are we talking about? Someone who's technically not here, who's slacking.
Another missing person.
Another missing person.
If anyone's listening, I think we've got a few.
We probably need to call the police, and we need to put some
a few missing person reports
to come down in. We don't want to say no names.
Nah.
But a few Volta clips.
Volta clips, yeah.
We're not sure if this event actually happened, but.
Did Volta even happen?
I think only 1 week happened.
1 week.
1 week or 2 weeks happened. So I don't know where you got your stats from, by the way.
Yeah.
We had the award ceremony for our senior setup. So I included the first team, reserves, development, under 18s. It was good to have everyone just involved, just everyone sitting down.
What was the dress code?
It was, mate, to be fair, I think the under 18 is the only one who followed the dress code.
Yeah.
They made a show, you know. A few
Definitely.
of well, I'd say a handful, about 10 of them.
So, for context, whose idea was it, by the way?
Who, for the under 18s?
Yeah.
the main manager, the gaffer, Safraz?
So I think Safi has asked told the under 18s it's a black tie event.
Yeah.
So come suited and booted.
Indeed.
And bless them, all of them.
We'll say bar probably a few.
Yeah, the majority of them came fully suited and booted. You could have mistaken them for having just come from a prom or something like that.
Or from sixth. One of them actually, like Ethan, he was bow tied. If you're going from best dressed in a award ceremony, he's probably getting
probably
it.
I'll back that.
But yeah, like you said, the rest of them either looked like they're coming back from prom or even again, they're in sixth form.
Yeah.
In school.
I think the rest of the development reserves.
Romeo come back from the gym.
Yeah, it's very very odd. Well, a mixed bag, I'd say.
Yeah.
You know, you had some people, come in the joggers. Some people made an effort.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think maybe next year we do need to have a formal kind of dress code or of some sort.
I liked your speech. I think a few of us enjoyed your speech, but I felt like you've been practicing it, by the way. I don't know, you obviously knew that probably was coming. And then he got called up, and I think it was a fantastic speech, especially for the under-18s there. Obviously, I put a challenge. I think Callum's going to be replacing you in a couple of years. But it's one of those, you know what, I think as that speech, from a captain, from the obviously the club captain of it all, I think it was a fantastic speech.
I'll be honest, I don't even remember what I said. And, thinking about it afterwards, I could have said, like, so much more things. And, I think afterwards you think about it.
What could have been? What could have been?
I feel like I could have said, like, so much more that made much more of an impact. But
any shocks of giving awards? I don't want to know if would you.
So I mean, you said about preparing a speech or whatever. The one I had prepared was for like, I had like one prepared for like managers, players, best young talent, and so on. But I guess I didn't have to. Obviously,
you didn't have to do those ones. Maybe for next year.
Yeah. No. So obviously
we'll go 2-year drought, by the way. For I don't know. Did you do anything last year?
Who, me?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
Why does it even matter? Like,
Is this the question?
The team, the team's accolades and achievements are greater than any of the individual ones.
So you wouldn't. Let's say if you had an opportunity to win the Ballon, let's say your name was in the Ballon d'Or and you finished second, you wouldn't be upset.
No. If like the teams won or achieved what he needed to.
Okay.
I think that's what Messi always says, right?
I don't know.
He does. But yeah, I mean, we'll obviously go through the awards winners, but you mentioned speeches. Some of Dan's speeches were amazing.
Yeah. I'm talking about Callum's again. I'm putting in, he was like, that's the best player he has seen in his 30, 40 years of coaching.
Yeah, that's a big
that is
big
a statement. Like, to even hear something like that. Like, again, I have the pleasure of obviously coaching a few of them, like Eunice and the Callums, and like, it's reassuring to hear that from.
What you mentioned about Eunice is, every time he puts on the shirt.
Yeah, he kept the hot eyes to play for the badge.
That was really good.
You know what? Dan's the man. I'm telling you, who doesn't love Dan at the club? I think he's the most loved man at the club. Everyone appreciates that.
Like, and the speech he done for every award, man, it was
top tier.
Spot on, yeah.
Breaking down of obviously how his season went, talking about how he always wants his players to express themselves.
Yeah.
It's like he's the guy.
Yeah, Dan, if you're listening, I think you were due to come on the show, and it didn't happen. I think we do need to get him on in the next few weeks, to be honest.
Yeah, get him in.
Just let him talk.
Yeah, inspire us, Dan. You know what I mean? I'll shut up and just listen.
Yes. So, award winners.
Award winners. Yeah, I want to go from, if I can remember, apologies if I mess it up. I've got, obviously, Callum won players and managers of the, obviously, votes. I believe Eunice got a young player of the year, player of the season. And then Toby got emerging.
Wait, a young player of the season for like under 18s?
Technically for devs.
Are you talking about development?
Development, yeah.
Okay.
Newcomer was Mario and Golden Boot was Kevin.
Yeah.
Under 18s players got Alfie got it. Managers were Leo. Emerging was Joe and Golden Boot was Taylor. Rezzies, I know players and managers was Liam.
Yeah.
Top scorer was Jake. Emerging was Leo. Obviously winger, and their young was Josh. Keep it. Another thing.
Yeah.
Going on to it, obviously going to the first team then. Players.
Just before we do go in the first team, I think one of the things that Luca mentioned about Liam was that he was one of the players to challenge Luca and so on. I thought that was interesting.
How would you deal with that? Let's make it. If let's say a player challenges you, let's say you're a manager and the player challenges you, how would you deal with this situation? I think, you know what? Credit Luca, man. Like, for me, I think I'll always want that challenge.
Yeah.
But
I think it's got to come in the right way.
Yeah.
Like obviously, if a player is challenging the manager in front of the other players, then you're looking at maybe he's undermining you.
Yeah.
And, there's got to be that bit of boundary, I guess. But if you're being challenged kind of privately and so on, I think that's quite healthy. Yeah. And, you're probably you'll welcome that. But if it's not in the right way or not in the right environment, not in the right space, then it's obviously very touching.
Have you ever challenged one of the gaffers? The gaffers you played under? Obviously.
Yeah, I guess so. But then I think, like I said, it's always got to be in the kind of right way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you go to first team.
Yeah.
Managers was Mickey. Obviously, fantastic improvement that he's had. We talk about dedication. He's only missed one training session this whole season.
Yeah.
Players was Shaz. Newcomer was Liam. His speech was amazing, by the way. His speech was quality. Mojana, thank you very much for leaving for 5 days.
5 days, yeah. What was funny before Shaz actually gave out that award, he goes, we saw this player, he scored like an amazing goal against Leverington for the reserves.
Yeah.
And then done a celebration to match it. And, everyone's taking notice and whatnot. And then he had a bit of an injury, so we couldn't get him in then. Then when we did get him in, we lost. We lost again.
We lost again. We drew.
We drew again. We drew. But then, that was quite funny as well.
I might get this all mixed up. All I can basically just get off my phone, but just on top of my head, Sultan got emerging and Derek got young. I believe that was the order they got. Sultan again, right back, centre back, fantastic.
Sultan's speech. Well, I guess all the first team players, right? They done speeches.
Yes, before they got the award.
When they got the awards and so on. Sultan's was quite funny.
What do you want me to say? Yeah. Thank you very much. It was really good. Then obviously keepers, they've won 3. Basically, they got either players, managers, or young. Obviously, Josh got young, Alfie got players, and Shaz got players. It's nice seeing the keepers getting the recognition that they deserve. Obviously. So,
when keepers get recognition and so on, is that because the rest of the team's been bad?
I don't know. I ask you, your players. You know what I mean? As a player,
I'm just asking generally. I think each of those awards is well deserved and so on. But I mean, I think one of the comments Arteta has made over this PSG game
about Donnarumma.
Is about Donnarumma and how he's been.
But also, if you Enrique did the same about Alisson in the first leg. Just putting it out there.
I must have missed that, to be fair. But I think there was interesting comments made by Arteta saying Donnarumma was like the man of the match,
MVP. Yeah.
Even though he wasn't for
the second leg. The second leg, Hakimi's got it, but in reality, it was Donnarumma.
No, it wasn't because Hakimi got it, so it was Hakimi. But yeah, for some reason, Arteta seemed to.
You're obsessed with Arteta, innit?
No, I'm not. But yeah, he was making the point that the man of the match was the keeper, so it actually showed that Arsenal were far superior to PSG. So yeah, it's a bit weird. Not weird, but it's a bit interesting to see how we
look at that. Obviously, for us, we look at if I look at him as a management team point of view kind of thing, I'll understand it because of sometimes you look at the points he would have saved for us. Like if you really look at it, like the 0-0 games against Parson Drove, or obviously 1-1 in this away side, like he technically would have saved us probably 5 points in that game, 4 points in that game. Sorry. Or even other games with that when you got his clean sheets and saves, he kept on Framelham's at home, and so they all end up playing a part. And it's nice to see that he did get that recognition from all his teammates. So obviously similar with Alfie on our side, and obviously Josh getting the young players from Rezzies.
With the speeches, I think we should make it more of a regular thing.
A mandatory thing. You have to. Because
it was really interesting to see that how some people who wouldn't like off stage, for example, would be very confident, very like always got a lot to say, won't mention any names. But then when they got on the stage, they're very just like, you know, mumbling the words, reading the notes app.
No. Safi prepared, man. He was. I was expecting him to know by heart. But you know what? Big up Safi for at least talking. You know what I mean?
Talking.
And saying, giving a speech after the players.
Yeah, no. So that was quality. Obviously now, I think with the summer coming up, we're going to have a few events coming up. Yeah. There is a Volta League, which is going to start very soon. So we've got that to kind of look forward to. And yeah, I think it's should be an eventful kind of summer.
Couple of events obviously coming down the whole time. I think we've got a busy summer ahead, which is great to see. We can't wait to put out all the people.
Thank you for joining us on FCP Week.